You are listening to LeeAllure. Make sure that you are seated in a comfortable position with your headphones on for the best effects. As always, avoid driving and/or operating heavy machinery while listening to the sound of my voice. I'd like you all just to get as comfortable as you possibly can, as always. And as you find yourself comfortable, maybe you can just go ahead and listen to the sound of my voice. Let each breath in and each breath out be something that you find yourself less and less aware of. And maybe you can allow your unconscious mind to count back from 100 or to say the alphabet back, whichever one you think is going to be less likely remembered in your brain. Just count back either letters or numbers while you listen to the sound of my voice. And at some point in time, you can notice that with every next number or letter that you say, you find yourself dropping a little more deeply into trance. And with each new bit of dropping deeply into trance, your conscious self can stop knowing what those letters or numbers ought to be, even if you know what they are. It can sort of become too much effort, too much bother to think them or to say them, and to simply allow yourself to go deeply and easily into trance, letting your body feel so comfortable, letting your mind feel receptive, and allowing yourself to simply feel how good that state of trance is, to recognize what that's like inside you, and then to stop worrying about it. To just let yourself sink and drop down deeper and deeper into trance, to feel fantastic, to listen to the sound of my voice, and then to let go of it all. I wonder how easily your unconscious can allow your conscious self to hear the sound of my voice, and yet for your unconscious mind to take in all the words, to allow your brain to find itself acknowledging anything that pops up and just letting it go. It might be, in fact, a really fascinating thing right now to simply acknowledge that a thought has popped up, and for you to find yourself going, "Thanks, thought. Glad you let me know you were there," or something that suits you a little better, but along those lines, and then to just notice what happens. Go ahead and drop down deeper and deeper. Give in to the sound of my voice, and realize that as any thought pops up, when you do that, when you say, "Thanks, thought, thanks for letting me know," it just disappears. You've acknowledged it. It can go away. Your unconscious mind can take any thoughts that are really important, that you must deal with at some point in time, and as your unconscious mind knows and realizes that now is not the appropriate time to be thinking those thoughts, it can take them, it can gather them up, it can organize and prioritize them, and then just allow you to let your mind right now be as quiet as you'd like it to be. Because when you allow those thoughts to be appreciated, to be thanked for popping up and letting you know that something was going on in your mind, and then you let it just fade away, you know that some of those you're going to have to do something about later. I kind of liken it to having a little notepad open on my computer desktop, and when something pops into my head that I have to do, I write it down. And then I put all the other windows that I'm working on top of that one, and I only think about it again when I go back. Your unconscious mind can do that same sort of thing. Write it down in a place, mark it down in a place, embed it in a place. And when you need it, you'll go look and you'll go, oh, I need to do these things. You can find yourself then planning to do it on your own time, in your own way, when you have to. It can get easy for our mind to think that right now is the time to do all the things. But there's always a better time to do a thing. And right now, if you're in the middle of doing something that for now this is the perfect time to do, then other things will have to wait. But sometimes we get so eager to remind ourselves, oh, you got to do this thing. And sometimes all it needs is to go, yes, you're right, we do have to do that thing. But we need to do that thing after we do this thing first. So we're going to do this thing first, okay? And to notice that thought kind of goes, oh, okay. And to just allow yourself to focus on something else. If your brain acts as some sort of alarm system for you, and you've noticed that it's usually right about letting you know about things, then please don't ignore it. Maybe a date on something got changed and you had forgotten. But generally speaking, just allow your unconscious mind to feel really great, to feel fantastic, and for your conscious self to know that if a thought pops up and you find yourself acknowledging it, letting it know that it's been noted, possibly marking it down in some unconscious way, and then allowing whatever it is that you really need to do right now, even if that thing you really need to do right now is to go to sleep. Notice how simple and easy that is for your brain to know right now that from now on you can simply acknowledge a thought that pops up and then allow that thought to be gotten to when you need to get to it. If you have thoughts that pop up, mostly when you need them, your brain is doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes work for you to find yourself feeling very confident. If all of your thoughts are coming in all at once, it can be hard to know what the right thought at the right moment is. And sometimes that type of brain activity can allow us to feel unsure, much like with all the conflicting pieces of information that are coming in nowadays about our current health panic. When just the right piece of information pops into your head when you need it, no matter what that information is, you're far more likely to go, I'm certain about a thing. And if you are certain about a thing, you're confident about it. Let's think about that for just a moment. Let's find a way that your unconscious mind can imagine something very confidently. Now, whether that's somebody else or whether that's you in a certain specific aspect of your life, go ahead and just think about that for a bit. Find yourself thinking about either somebody else that you know or can imagine who is very confident, or allow yourself to think about you and the thing that you do that you're very confident at. Let's think about what the specifics of being confident are. If you think about a person, it might be that they hold their body in a certain way. A lot of confidence is physical confidence. They're certain that their body can do a thing, or they're certain that their body cannot do a thing. For example, I have never in my life done a cartwheel, not even when I was a young child. I am confident that I would not do a cartwheel well, so I don't even try to do cartwheels. There are other people who have been doing cartwheels forever, and they can, without having to think about it, because it's unconscious at this point, turn their body, put their hands on the ground, their legs go up, and voila, they're standing. They've done that thing very confidently. Allow your unconscious mind to think about what confidence means to you. Is it a physical thing? Is it a mental thing? Do you just know the thing you're talking about, and can you clearly demonstrate that to somebody else? It's sometimes hard to be confident when you understand a thing, but nobody around you understands a thing. So think about what that means in the way that you can find yourself comfortable and explain it like I'm 5, being able to talk about a thing to just about anybody. If you know more and the people you're with can understand what you're saying, you could feel confident talking with people that have a higher level of knowledge. But it might be easy to simply realize that if you know a thing, your unconscious mind can talk about it in sort of the lowest common denominator. And if you needed to, you could build yourself up to higher levels of what it is that you needed to do. So think about confidence as a body posture. Think about confidence as a rule of the way you can find yourself talking about a thing or explaining a thing. Think about confidence as the ability to understand something that you've heard or seen or read. And hold on to how good it becomes for your unconscious mind to simply accept that you have these abilities within you, but maybe no one has ever talked to you about, for example, the way you write code and the way you just know when a thing is correct. Because when you just know that a thing is correct, you can find yourself doing it. It's really simple. It's really easy. You just do it. So a lot of times, confidence comes with experience. And I'd like you to find yourself thinking right now about one thing that you could use more experience at. A thing that you would like to find yourself more powerfully good at in a way that lets you feel inside, internally, like you're doing it right every single time. Zero imposter syndrome. You just know a thing and you do it, and that's all there is about it. There's no cockiness. There's no arrogance. It's simply pure, unadulterated confidence because you are capable of doing a thing very well. As you find yourself thinking about a thing that you do really well, and I bet there are things that your unconscious mind knows that you do really well, even if on a conscious level it's hard for you to grasp it, I'd like you to notice that when you do that thing, whatever it is, and it might be something as simple as tying your shoe, your unconscious mind can take whatever sense it is that you have that's active when you are doing that thing. And it might include a little bit of, I just know how to do a thing, so it's not a big deal, so I don't have to feel any way about it. Especially not concerned or worried, not fearful that I'm going to do or say the wrong thing, because I got this thing. I got it really powerfully, really easily, and my brain just knows and accepts that. So as you find yourself thinking about the physicality of doing something well, and as your unconscious mind thinks about the emotional response you have when you do something well, you can know that when you think about it, you have confidence that you do it well, even if you never think about it while you're doing it. Allow your unconscious mind to take that and to apply that to other things that you find yourself doing, that same sense. Allow your unconscious mind to just go, oh, in the past we have experienced some quality of unsureness about a thing. So what we're going to do is just allow us to take that feeling of surety and begin to apply it to other things that we find ourselves doing, whether that's talking in groups, whether that's any kind of interactions with work people, one-on-one or in groups, whether that's testing out new things. Now, please bear in mind that when you find yourself testing out new things, there's always a learning curve. And usually people get the beginning part pretty quickly, and then there's a stumble in the middle because they don't know quite enough. But you can realize that your brain can, as with most of the things you find yourself doing here, figure it out. You can figure it out by asking somebody else or watching somebody else do a thing. You can figure it out by doing it yourself over and over and over again. And your brain can know that it is simple and effortless for you to simply acknowledge that everyone does have a learning curve. And that you too can find that a learning curve allows you to feel good because you can realize that you're going from no information and no idea about how to do a thing to more and more confidence. Let's go back to the idea of personal and physical confidence, and I'd like you to pick a person that you find to be really confident. As you imagine that person, I'd like you to find yourself sitting up as straight in your chair as you can. And I'd like you to breathe in deeply. And I'd like you to get a big smile on your face. And I'd like you to get a smile on your face that inside means, yep, I've got this, in whatever way feels great for you. I'd like you to imagine, perhaps not a handshake in this day and age, but confidently reaching out with a hand to fist bump, to do the Wakanda Forever arm bump, or anything else that you feel would be really, really strong as an action to do. I'd like you to imagine as you find yourself sitting up, as you've taken a deep breath, as you have a great smile, that you feel absolutely calm and good inside you. As calm and good as you might feel when you just tie your shoe. Because you do it so easily, do it so naturally, you do it without having to think about it. And when you do those things in that way, whatever it is, your brain gets the idea that you are in fact confident at doing a thing. And because you are in fact confident at doing a thing, you can feel, well, you might not actually feel much. You might just feel totally normal. But if you'd like to, I wonder right now if your unconscious mind can give you a little bit of brain drip, a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of dopamine, a little bit of the chemicals that your unconscious mind creates that let you feel good and let you find yourself feeling just a hint of, I feel more confident that I just did a thing really well. Whether it's that you're such a great subject that you can go into trance really easily, your unconscious mind can figure out almost anything else you need to do. You have a world of things at your disposal, and notice how well you can find yourself picking up resources and abilities and practicing things and getting feedback and getting more and more confident at the things that you have to do around other people in ways that may find you feeling less than confident ordinarily in the past. So, for example, sometimes I watch people on TV who are actors, and they are doing a thing that I have done for years and years and know how to do. And I recognize that they are not doing it well, but there's nothing in the way that they are demonstrating it because they're acting. They're acting like they know how to do it. There's nothing in the way that they are acting that would lead anybody who doesn't know how to do what they're doing to go, oh, they're full of crap. They don't know anything about this. Because they look and act like they know what it is that they're doing. And I'd like you to find that you can add a little bit of that into it. Whether it's just the tying your shoes, whether it's coding, whether it's singing, whether it's drawing, whether it's being really awesome at dialogue, whether it's playing an instrument, whether you're really good with working with people, whatever it is that you find yourself doing really well, allow your unconscious mind to just take some of that and begin to toss a dash of that into every single interaction that you have. As your brain does that, notice how much better it feels for you to just accept that you are pretty good at all sorts of things. Every time you do a thing, you can get better and better and better at it, as long as you have a little bit of feedback about what it is that you've done. And then your unconscious mind can allow you internally to feel calm and give yourself a little bit of that reward that feels really fantastic. So let your brain do that. Notice how good it becomes for your unconscious mind to do that now and from now on. Infinitely going forward, you can find yourself feeling more confident, behaving more confidently, and every time you do something that you're confident at, your unconscious mind can take whatever it is you feel when you do that, and then just share that information, share those feelings with you when you're doing something new, so that when you receive feedback, you can find yourself feeling good about receiving the feedback. If you didn't fuck up, you're just learning how to do a thing. This is how it goes. And feeling confident that you are learning and accepting feedback and accepting critique about the best way to move forward. Your unconscious mind can know that this is what everybody does. When we first learn to walk, we don't have that self-confidence in us. We don't have to worry about it. We're not self-conscious about it. But we pull ourselves up and we might fall back down on our butt. But it's okay. We might laugh or we might cry, but we're going to do it again because at some point in time, if it's possible for us, we learn to walk. So our brain gets this idea that we can become confident in all of our motor functions. And at some point in time, we just stop thinking about it. Notice that you can find that there are things that yesterday that you were self-conscious about, that today you can do them and your brain would simply have a totally different response. Your unconscious mind can just have that response that, oh, well, either I've got a thing down and I just do it, and I can feel confident that I'm doing it in that way because I'm either learning it or I've already learned it, so I either have it or I'm getting feedback on what to do better next time. Every time you get some feedback on how to do something better next time, allow yourself to incorporate that in you and to feel confident that you can incorporate that into what you do. If you need to ask questions to make sure you really understand the feedback, that's okay. Don't worry about it. But feel how nice it can be for your internal self to just realize that everything you do can feel okay. That everything you do, if you hated it, just hold on to it. Go back to it a couple days later and take a look at it and decide then if it's really good or if it's not. If it's not, you can redo it. If you know it's not good, you know the ways in which it isn't good. Or perhaps you can ask somebody else to look at it and they can give you a different perspective on it. And then you can be like, oh, wow, of course, that changes completely the way I'm going to do this, but not completely, just a little bit completely. And then you can find yourself changing the tone of a thing or adjusting some dialogue or changing whatever it is that needs to be done. There's a lot of people, for example, right now making masks for everyone to wear, for themselves, for their families, for healthcare workers to wear over their other masks to help them last a little bit longer. Perhaps you can realize that your unconscious mind can know that you can be like those people that are perhaps some of them just learning to sew. Not everyone can sew a straight line. Not everyone's really great at threading needles. Not everyone's really fantastic about understanding all the sewing terms. But if you had 100 of those to sew, for example, your first one might be crap, but your last 50 might be really quite excellent. And in fact, it might be more like 80 or 90 of them might be really excellent. So I'd like you to be kinder to yourself. And when those thoughts pop into your head, those thoughts that might be intrusive or negative, go ahead and just say, hey, thanks for showing up. And if your brain knows that whatever the thought was needs to have something done to it later, you can do something about it later when the time is appropriate. And otherwise, your unconscious mind can go, you know what? Yep, this is a comment. This thing sucks. It's okay. I am still learning. And then the next time you do it, you'll have looked at why the thing wasn't good to begin with and been like, oh, I didn't read that step, or oh, I didn't know that that meant this. And then next time you do it, you'll know what that means. And your brain can simply adapt that information, that new information, so that the next one you do is better, and the next one you do is better, and the next one you do is better still. Hold on to how good your unconscious mind is at going deeply and easily into trance. Hold on to how good your unconscious mind is at allowing you to make positive and powerful changes that affect you in the most wonderful of ways. Allow yourself to let go of the negativity that might have held you back in the past, and now you can find yourself just using that as a thank you to say, I'm aware of that and I appreciate that, for you to be able to use that to correct something and otherwise to feel really wonderful. So hold on to how wonderful you can feel. Let all of these things affect you as powerfully as you need them to. And on the count of 5, find yourself coming up all the way, feeling fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Wide awake.
Thank you for listening.